A warm welcome to TV Africa News and thank you for always joining us. This is Africa Today. My name is Najima Lima, but first are the headlines. Denmark donates 742,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines to Uganda. Nile Breweries Limited starts mobile vaccination drive. New general takes over command of EU's training mission in Mali. And in sports, Shaban returns to Crane's squad for Gabon and Mauritania friendlies. Our welcome once again. Now the news in detail. The Danish government has donated a total of 742,000 vaccine doses to the Ministry of Health to assist Uganda in its fight against COVID-19. We have more.
A shipment of 258,000 Oxford AstraZeneca doses arrived on December 14, 2021, with an additional shipment of 484,000 Moderna doses scheduled for arrival on December 30th. Both donations are being shipped through the COVAX facility, the global partnership for universal access to COVID-19 vaccines. These shipments mark an important step towards the goal of ensuring the fair and equitable distribution of COVID-19 vaccines around the world. Uganda is currently engaged in an accelerated push to vaccinate all individuals 18 years and above, comprising approximately 12 million people, a half of Uganda's population. The Minister of Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, said that those donations from the Danish government to Uganda are a deeply appreciated example of global solidarity in action. COVAX, the vaccine's pillar of access to COVID-19 tools accelerator, is co-led by the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, Gavi the Vaccine Alliance, and the World Health Organization, with UNICEF as a key implementing partner.
With vaccination points being set up near workplaces, all homes residents in select areas are having more opportunity to access the vaccine as Nile Breweries Limited carries a mobile vaccination drive. Nalugo reports.
Launched in Lira, Masaka and Matuga so far, the mobile vaccination drive is aimed at reaching the vulnerable, elderly and those in hard-to-reach areas along the sales routes of the beer maker during the festive season. David Valencia, country director, Nile Breweries, said in his previous speech that the president indicated the need to also reach far places and elderly who can't go to the vaccination centers. He said that the company is collaborating with district health teams in the selected areas to make vaccination more accessible to populations through setting up mobile vaccination points in a drive-through system with up to 4 in a day in different locations. In Lango sub-region, areas reached included Akiaba, Agwet, and Boroboro Oba. According to Sir Tino Tamil from the district health team, there was a huge turn-up by youths. According to Mande Ojara, sales representative Lango sub-region, to enable the success of the mobile vaccination exercise, majority of the local radio stations and the district COVID-19 task force partnered NBL in terms of mobilization and transportation of the health workers.
World and Olympics champion Joshua Cheptegei was on Wednesday decorated with his new rank of Assistant Superintendent of Police that he got promoted to following his exploit at the just concluded Tokyo Olympics. Kachancha has more.
World and Olympics champion Joshua Cheptegei was on Wednesday decorated with his new rank of Assistant Superintendent of Police that he got promoted to following his exploits at the just concluded Tokyo Olympics. Also decorated at the same function include Benjamin Injia, the police team coach, who is also now at the rank of Assistant Superintendent of Police, Peruth Chemtai, Inspector of Police, and Immaculate Chemtai is now an Assistant Inspector of Police, whereas Chelangati Marceline, who is promoted to Inspector of Police, and Shida Reni is Assistant Inspector of Police, were not available for the peeping ceremony. Speaking at the decoration function, the Inspector General of Police said the exploits by Cheptegei and his team ensured Uganda's flag was raised high above many others during the Olympics Games, an exploit that needed to be rewarded. The police chief said the appreciation doesn't only go to the medalists, but all those who represented Uganda at the Olympics Games in Tokyo early this year. The police chief asked the promoted officers to use their ranks and talents to encourage many other youths to join the force, but also take part in sports activities. The Assistant Inspector General Police, Andrew Soroweni, the Police Director for Welfare, Production and Sports, hailed the former Police Chief General Kali Kaihura for revamping the police athletes team in 2012.
Let's take a break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. The EU's training mission in Mali handed over command to a new general. The ceremony took place on Tuesday in the Malian capital, Bamako, and was attended by a number of European ambassadors as well as Malian military brass.
The move follows the announcement that Mali has accepted 1,000 UN peacekeepers from nearby Chad. Christian Riena, the new EUTM commander, said that it was a great honor for her to serve in this mission and have great respect for the Malian people and the Malian soldiers. The agreement comes as France announced a reduction in the deployment of troops in the country. Herve Blegin, director of the European Union military staff, added they are working for the benefit of the G5 joint force and are doing training and are also going to provide them with equipment. Paris has already closed down 3 army bases in northern Mali, and by next year, its presence in the country will be reduced to about 3,000 soldiers from 5,100. Mali is the epicenter of a jihadist insurgency that began in the north of the country in 2012 and spread 3 years later to neighboring Niger and Burkina Faso.
Libya's election board on Wednesday suggested that presidential polls should take place on January 24th after parliamentary committee said holding them on time this week was impossible. Let's take a look.
The High National Electoral Commission suggested in a statement on Facebook that after liaising with the House of Representatives, the first round of the voting should be delayed until January 24th. Less than 48 hours before the day, a parliamentary committee in charge of monitoring the polls concluded that it was impossible to hold the polls on a scheduled date, despite being set a year ago. The committee's conclusions were made public as an announcement of the postponement of the vote had been expected for several days due to the lack of adequate preparations and against a background of insurmountable disagreements between rival camps. Amanda Kadlec, an analyst and former member of the United Nations panel of experts on Libya, said that there hasn't been a campaign period and Libyans have no idea who they are voting for or what their platforms are about. The 24th December election was supposed to mark the end of the United Nations-sponsored political process in the North African country. Libya has been on the verge of divisive regional politics since the fall of the long-time ruler, Muammar Gaddafi.
Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has refused to approve an amendment to the electoral law, which includes the organization of primaries to designated candidates for the presidential elections scheduled in 14 months.
In a letter to the Senate, President Ahmed Lawani read out in Parliament on Tuesday, Buhari said the proposed amendment as it stands is a violation of democracy which is characterized by freedom of choice. According to President Buhari, the adoption of direct, open primaries would significantly increase the cost and security of monitoring elections as well as marginalizing small political parties. He said it would put additional pressure on the economy and security agencies of Africa's most populous country, which is already plagued by high inflation and insecurity. The amendment also calls for allowing electronic voting to facilitate the collection and transmission of results, thereby increasing the transparency of the elections. But in December 2018, Buhari had already refused to approve an amendment to the electoral law that sought to follow electronic voting in the upcoming presidential elections, held 2 months later.
Away from that, former South African President Jacob Zuma will be allowed to appeal a court ruling that ordered him back to jail to serve the remainder of his sentence, a judge ruled on Tuesday.
Zuma, 80, had been released on medical parole earlier this year by the Gauteng High Court in the capital Pretoria ruled last week that his parole had been illegal. On Tuesday, Judge Elias Motojen said the ex-president can now appeal that finding. Zuma was convicted and sentenced for defying a court order ordering that he appear before a government-backed commission probing allegations of corruption during his tenure as president from 2009 to 2018. Zuma's release on medical parole had been granted by former Correctional Services Commissioner Arthur Fraser against the recommendation of the parole board. He served nearly 2 months of his 15-month sentence, but this was mainly in the hospital wing of the Escort Correctional Center and a hospital in Pretoria, where he underwent surgery in August this year. Zuma's lawyer Dali Mofo had argued that returning him to jail is equivalent to a death sentence.
Let's once again take a break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, the right to know. In our business news today, Nigeria on Wednesday destroyed over 1 million expired doses of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines. The expired doses were destroyed at a landfill in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, a week after the nation said it would no longer accept donated COVID-19 vaccines with short shelf lives.
According to the head of Nigerian National Primary Health Care Development Agency, Faizo Shoaib accepted the donations with the intention of protecting its citizenry, but later released that some doses had nearly reached its expiry date. So actually, for example, some of these vaccines came in with shelf lives of about 4 weeks. On Tuesday, December 21st, the country recorded 2,123 new COVID-19 infections, the highest daily tally since January this year, and the second highest since the pandemic. National Food and Drug Administration Director Professor Mojisolo Adeyeye said they are one of the few agencies in Africa that tests our vaccine before use and that they had already informed donors about this. Vaccination rapidly improving in the most populous country in Africa, which intends to fully vaccine 55 million of its 206 million citizens before February 2022. Currently, only 2% of the population are fully vaccinated.
In our health news today, a South African expert announced on Tuesday that the country had passed the peak of the fourth wave of COVID-19 infections. Associate Professor Martha Nunes added that although the number of infections remained high, hospitalizations were low.
Scientists in South Africa first sounded the alarm about the Omicron variant less than a month ago. The University of the Witwatersrand academics say that there are indications that South Africans have passed the peak of the fourth wave. Although average new daily cases of COVID-19 have been surging since mid-November, severity and hospitalization did not follow the same trajectory. Associate Professor Martha Nunes said that they see a huge number of infections, but looking at the hospitalization and other severity markers for disease, they don't really see that much severe cases with Omicron, adding that this is really telling them good news that the peak has already passed on. In Europe, the World Health Organization's top official urged governments on Tuesday to prepare for a significant surge in coronavirus cases across the continent due to the Omicron variant, which is already dominant in several countries.
In our sports news today, Uganda Cranes coach Milton Michos Ledojovic has called Mohamed Shaban to his squad for the upcoming friendly matches later this month. Kachanchi reports.
South Africa-based duo of goalkeeper Ismail Watenga and Moses Waiswa are the only foreign-based players that have been included on Michos' 21-man squad that will play in both games. Striker Patrick Kadu, who is still without a club but has been training with former side KCCA since he parted ways with Moroccan side RS Bakena, has also been called up for the game. The Cranes play Gabon on December 30th and against Mauritania on January 1st, 2022, as both nations step up their preparations for the African Cup of Nations tournament that kicks off on January 9th. The two friendlies will be played in Abu Dhabi and the team is expected to depart for the Middle East on December 29th after the final match day of StarTimes Uganda Premier League for 2021. Mohamed Shaban last featured for the Cranes during the 2021 African Nations Championships, coming on as a substitute for the final 36 minutes of Uganda's 5-2 defeat to Morocco. At CHAN, he also played the entire 90 minutes in a 2-1 defeat to Togo, but limited playing time at club level had ruled him out of subsequent games, including all 6 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers under Micho.
That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned. More programming coming your way.